Andrew Tate talks a lot. Everyone knows that. Online, he sells himself as this unstoppable alpha, a real fighter, a dangerous man. But after his fight with Chase DeMoor, that image didn't hit the same anymore. And one person who clearly wasn't impressed was Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, Khabib isn't the type to chase clout or argue online. He doesn't do podcast beefing with influencers. When Khabib moves, it's quiet, and that's exactly why people noticed. After Tate's fight with Chase DeMoor, Khabib liked a post calling Tate a fake tough guy. That's it, no rant, no explanation. But coming from Khabib, that like meant everything.
I saw this. I want to know what you guys think. I think this is a little bit pivotal. And I'm not really saying this to hate farm, but I do think that this is an important indicator of a change. And it does go into my, what I said when I said red pill is dead. I'm saying this group, like this manosphere thing, it's just not the same as it once was. It doesn't have the aura and the respect that it did back in 22. Khabib Nurmagomedov said he's not a fan of Andrew Tate. He just liked to post on Instagram that called him misogynistic, a fake tough guy, and said that he preys on men with fragile egos. The caption read, performative masculinity versus reality. The fact that these two men, Andrew Tate and Jake Paul, have managed to amass tens of millions of disciples worldwide by mimicking a brash, misogynistic cartoon whose tough guy persona says less about strength and more about widespread insecurity and intellectual laziness. Cosplay for men who confuse volume and authority with cruelty and power. It's alarming how effortlessly algorithmic turns the fragile egos of millions of men and young men out there into movements. This is why digital platforms that profit from radicalizing the emotionally underdeveloped while calling it free expression need to be regulated. I don't like the fact that Khabib liked this post. I'll say this in defense of them, regardless of the differences with the Tates. I don't like that Khabib liked this. Because right here, the thesis of this statement is saying social media platforms should ban people that go in this direction. Khabib is essentially saying that free speech should not be allowed because it's radicalizing the youth. And Khabib is very vocal about Palestine. Does he not know that they use this? They will use this as an excuse to ban people like him who are very pro-Palestine. No, we shouldn't have more censorship and dictate who should be allowed or not allowed because it's radicalizing the youth. Khabib, they would say the same thing about you. They could say what you say about your views on women. They could say your views about religion. They could say any of your major points in your philosophies in the world could fall into this category, and by extension, you could get banned too.
So when Khabib sees someone talking nonstop, flexing online, calling themselves a warrior, but not backing it up in the ring, he doesn't respect that. That's where the hate comes from. Khabib believes fighting is about discipline, respect, silence, not ego, not internet fame, not yelling into cameras. Andrew Tate represents the opposite. A character, a brand, a loud image built for clicks. And when that image finally had to perform in a real fight, it didn't deliver. That's why Khabib liking the post mattered. The post called Tate a fake tough guy, someone who preys on fragile egos, someone who looks strong online but doesn't show real strength where it counts. And Khabib agreed, without saying a word. People forget, fighters know fighters. They can tell who's real just by watching movement, control, breathing, composure. Khabib watched that fight and saw no killer instinct, no mastery, no real threat, just a guy with a big mouth and a big ego. And to Khabib, ego's weakness. He said it before. Fighting isn't about noise. It's about humility and work. You don't call yourself great. You let your record do it. That's why this moment hits so hard. Because Andrew Tate wants respect from fighters. But respect in combat sports isn't given for talking. Khabib didn't need to explain himself. One like said enough. To him, Tate isn't a real fighter. He's a performance. And performances don't scare champions.